Welcome back to my channel. I'm Melinda and this is Melinda's Life and Style. This afternoon we are making the retreat bag from Emmaline bags, and I will show you the finished product that we have here. It has two pockets on the inside. This is great for crafting, this is great for makeup, great for lots of different things. Let me show it to you when it's zipped. So the side's tucked down. It has sturdy handles inside of it to give it the structure. And this is the large one, and all of the dimensions and everything will be listed in the description box. And if you want to make this, you can go on to Emmaline Bags and download for free the retreat bag. That's very easy to do. And yeah, if you want to see how I did it, then just keep watching. The first thing that I did after I bought what prompted the whole thing was I saw the handles, and this is for the large Emmaline bag, the retreat bag. This is the Style B internal wire frames. I got these from my local fabric store. So seeing those is what prompted me to make this Emmaline retreat bag. And the first thing that we need to do is make sure that we have all of the items that are required. So let me show you what I have first. For my external fabric, I have this Tula Pink. So I have this for my external fabric. I have a yard of that, so I will have leftovers. For my internal lining, I have it the orange and white stripe. And the name of that is Tent Stripe in the Tula Pink line as well. Then I have my thread to match. I have my walking foot. My zipper foot is attached to my machine already. I have a seam ripper just in case. My pins, my chalk. I have this Wonder Tape that they recommend. This is the 1/4 inch. It's completely washable, completely disappears in the first washing. And I have my scissors and my rotary cutter. And I also have a 22-inch zipper. So let's see, is that everything that I need? No, I also bought the light interfacing, and then I bought the fusible fleece. So on one side of it, it has the sticky bubbles, the glue that needs to be adhered with your iron. So we have all of the things that we need to get started. So I am going to do step 1, which says cut out your pieces of fabric from your exterior fabric. It's giving me some measurements to cut out, and something that I have that you can see on the screen is my cutting mat. I highly recommend having one of these. This is great for everything. I've used it all the time for my bias binding and stuff, but I have my cutting mat. So I'm going to readjust the camera so that you can see what I'm doing, and we'll get started with cutting out the fabric and the interfacing and the fusible fleece. So just 1 second. All of my pieces cut out now for the retreat bag. I would like to say right now, if you plan on making even a few bags, it's really great to have this kind of a ruler. This is the Lip Edge Ruler. I've had it for a while now, but I don't know if you can see that it has this lip. It doesn't go to the end. But what that does is when you put it on your ruler or your cutting mat, and I have the Olfa, it's 36 inches by 24 inches cutting mat. It stops on the edge, and it's like having an extra hand, and it gives me a really great guide, so I don't have to have one end kind of like go askew, whereas, you know, this way you kind of, it can slip on you. Really good ruler to invest in. I highly recommend it. If I can find it, I will leave it in a link below, because I couldn't live without it, and I will probably look for some more when I look for the link. I might get one. Okay, so what we cut out. It said to cut out 2 of your body pieces, so 18.5 by 12. I have 1 and 2. Then it said I needed a 2-inch by 3-inch pieces for my zipper ends, so those are cut out. And from the lining we have 2 18.5 by 12. 1, 2. And for our inner pockets, we have 2 8 by 8 squares. So there's lots of options too to make different contrasting ones and stuff, and we may do that in a different video and get a little crazy. But right now this is the basics. Then from the interfacing, it was to cut out 4 18 by 11.5. So you'll notice that it is 1/2 inch shorter all the way around, so that you aren't getting a lot of bulk in your seam allowances. So I have 2, 3, and 4 of those. Then also 2 7.5 by 7.5 squares for the pockets. I ran out of this kind of interfacing, so I got some that has the adhesive glue on the back, so I'm going to be doing that. Then the next thing we needed to cut out was, this was from the fusible fleece, and this was 17.5 by 11, also noting that it's cut smaller so that it isn't into the seam allowance and creating a lot of bulk that way. Alright, so that is step 1. Step 2 is to attach the interfacing. So it says for the fusible fleece and the fusible interfacing, iron to the wrong side of the corresponding fabric pieces using the manufacturer's directions and a damp pressing cloth. So I am going to go attach all of my interfacings to my pieces, and I'll be right back to show you how that looks. Okay, so now I have interfaced and put the fleece onto my outer pieces. The fleece went on the 2 outer pieces only, so they have been interfaced, and they have the fusible fleece on them, and you can notice that there's much more body as opposed to this. This is a piece that doesn't have any interfacing, and it's very, very fluid. This, much better. So these 2 pieces have the interfacing. Our pocket pieces have the interfacing, and then our lining pieces have the interfacing. So the bag's going to have a lot of nice structure to it. I went ahead and took my zipper ends and I folded them in 1/2 inch on the top and 1/2 inch on the bottom, and then turned it and then folded in and folded in, and I pressed. So I have these two ready to go. Excuse me. Of course I can't get into the zipper. I'm going to see if I have a different color, because this is not the orange that I thought it was going to be. Maybe it doesn't look so bad with this fabric. So these tabs are going to finish off the zipper. We have all of our fabric pieces facing up the way that we want them to. It says to make a mark 1 inch from the left side and the right side. So that is what we're going to do. I have my ruler and 1 inch in. Okay. Now the next step is on each of the 4 body pieces, mark and cut out a 2 inch or a 3 inch for the larger bag which we're making on each of the bottom corners. So it says, you know, to save time by stacking and cutting 2 or more at once. I think I will just do 1 at a time to be safe. So we're going to mark up 3 and in 3. So if I put it on my corner down here, on my trusty mat, which I think is very great to have, now we're going to cut those out, making sure that there isn't anything in the way that will get cut by accident. Taking one piece, folding it right sides together, and pinning around the raw edges. So my stripes are going up and down, so I am going to need my pockets to go up and down. I don't need them to. I could always do a contrast, but we're going to do the up and down. So I'm pinning them right sides together, and then I'm going to pin around the raw edges. I am lining up my stripes, because you could get off just a little tiny bit, and if you know me, for whatever reason, I always go, I go with stripes. I'm going to have to stop that. I don't know what it is with me and stripes. Okay. So it says use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew the 3 sides with raw edges together, leaving a 3 inch opening right here in the middle. Did I make it 3? Not quite 3. I think if I do it between the lines, I think just 3, because that might make it easier to turn. Okay. So we're going to sew from here down the top and to the bottom, and over here down into the bottom. And I'm going to do that on both pockets, and I will come back and show you what that looks like. I've serged down the sides, left my opening, clipped my corners, and now I'm going to turn them right side out. Okay, so now we have our two pockets. I'm going to go over here, and it says, well, I knew that. Always leave your needle down in the fabric when turning corners. That's important. Before turning right side out, press the seam allowances on the 3-inch opening back, and that just gives you your guide as to where you're going to turn it under. Clip the corners, stitch 1 or 2 rows of top stitching across the folded edge. So I am going to top stitch this down. That will close the opening that we just made. So we have our 2 rows of top stitching along the top to close the area where we opened it or had to turn it right side out. Now we're going to place the pocket. So it says take one of your lining body pieces and fold it in half along the longer sides to find the center. So got a center right there, and we have our center of our pocket. Okay, center your pocket with the bottom edge 4 inches up from the bottom. So where's my ruler? I'm coming up 4 inches from the bottom. I'm actually going to match the lines up on mine. I don't know that, let's see if you can see that. 4 inches from the bottom is this pin, and I'm going to, maybe it doesn't fall quite in the center. I think I'm going to match my lines up. So I could offset them and that would look cute, or I can match them up. Let's see where the centers line up. Going to edge stitch 1/8 of an inch from the pocket edges down, across, and back up on both of them. And let's see what else it says. Leave the top open. She says, tip, I like to bar tack the stop starts so that they are very sturdy. Okay. So I'm going to have to change machines and put on a better sewing foot on my sewing machine, but that will be what I'm going to go stitch the pockets. So right now I'm going to go and stitch the pockets on, and I'll be back. We're back, and I have the pockets stitched on, And, you know, maybe it isn't perfect, but there you go. That's one inside, and that is another inside. And so what I'm going to do now is go and serge around all of the edges on everything here, these two lining pieces and these two external pieces, just because I like working with things that are a little bit neater around the edges. So I'm going to do that, and then we will come back and go on to the next step, which is really the zipper. I would say the most time-consuming part of this bag is really cutting it out and adhering the interfacing to it. Other than that, it seems like it's pretty simple and straightforward. So I'm going to serge around all that, and I will be right back. You can see that right here at the top, I'll show you from this side, I did a little bit more zigzagging to give it more stability right there. If you are in and out, you know, a lot, then it's pretty secure. Top stitched around, so we have our pocket pieces on. The next step after that is to work on the zipper. So I have my 22-inch zipper. There we go, focused. So I have my 22-inch zipper, and the directions tell us to cut off the stops here and to cut off the stops here, so that in between we end up with a 21.5-inch zipper. So I went ahead and tacked it together right here with just a few little hand stitches so that the zipper would not come apart once I cut off the end pieces. And it says you will need a length of zipper that is exactly 21.5 for the large one. So if you have a 22-inch zipper, cut off the metal stops and the top and bottom zipper tails so that it is 21.5. So we need to cut off the bottom and top zipper tails, because let's get the ruler going the right way. Right now my zipper is measuring, actually, the whole length of it is 23.5, so I need 21.5. So if I cut off right above my stitching to right at the metal stop, that will be the length that I need, and then we're going to attach our pieces that we cut that were 2 by 3 inches. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut my little thread off. I'm going to re-knot it so that the needle doesn't fall off somewhere. So you can go ahead and cut that off and go down here and cut it off at 21.5. So right here. Then we have, you can see we're starting here, over to here, we're at 21.5. Then Then we have these little squares that we had earlier that were 3 by 2. I turned in 1/2 inch on either side and pressed it. And then I took it with my zipper to the ironing board and I put my zipper down just so that I could get it a little bit more accurate, and pressed around my zipper. So that's what I did. I pressed it that way rather than just doing it without my zipper. I used that as a guideline. And I did that for both pieces. Because that's going to wrap around the zipper like this. And then it's going to fold over to enclose that raw edge. Okay, let's see if that worked better. So much better. And we're going to just use our Wonder clips. Can you can you see how once I cut that angle on there, I don't have the pieces sticking out right here? So I'm going to go over to the machine and I am going to sew around all 4 sides of this, just like it has me doing right here. And I'll come back and show you what that looks like. And then we'll do the other end just the same way. Did around that zipper. Oh, I have to go back because I did not catch the back side. But that might be okay. It's not coming off, so I'm not going to worry about that. So let's do the same thing on this end that we just did on that end. We're going to place our zipper in, but we want to cut off these little annoying corners right here from the pressing line at an angle, right there. So, here we go, and we are at our halfway mark, and if it's 2 inches, then we fold it, making sure that it matches. And again with the Wonder clips, because it's a wonder how you ever did anything without them, right? So we're going to go sew around a square again, and then we'll be back to go on to the next step. Okay, for our next step after we finished our zipper ends, I went ahead and sandwiched the zipper between the lining fabric and the outside fashion fabric with the zipper right side up, And now we're going to go and sew it from the middle to our line that we created the 1 inches away. And once we get to this 1 inch, we're going to pull the zipper out of the way, and then we're going to continue on. Let me show you what that looks like here. They're asking us to pull the zipper out of the way at that point and then continue stitching. So that is what we are going to go do, and I will be right back. So now I have the second part of the bag sandwiched between the zipper again. The zipper is in between the lining fabric and the top fabric, matching your ends and keeping everything, all the raw edges together. We are going to go and sew from the center out to our 1 inch mark, pull the zipper out of the way, and continue on over. Then we're going to sew from the center to here, 1 inch mark, pull the zipper out of the way, stitch off the edge, and then we will come back and see what it looks like at that point. We've got the zipper is attached. You can see we have lining on both sides. And the next step, it says, pull back the 2 pieces you just attached so they are wrong sides together, finger press, and then press with a hot iron. And I did that, so it's nice and pressed. It says, note, do not top stitch along the sides of the zipper. This will happen later on in the instructions. Open your zipper. So we're going to open it. Yay, we have a working zipper. Now we're going to assemble the bag. Sew the lining and the exterior. Pull the 2 lining pieces together so that they are right sides together. So that would be our 2 lining pieces. Now they are right sides together. And let's match up all of our lines. So it does say, pull them together so the right sides together. Pull the zipper ends towards the middle of the bag so they will not get caught on the inside, on the outside seam when it's sewn. So we're going to pin all the way around the entire bag. Let's get rid of some of these threads. There. So we're going to match all of our seams up, and we're going to leave an opening in the bottom. I would say about the width of the pocket, so that we can come back and turn the whole bag right side out. So let me pin around, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, we have pinned the bag together, leaving the opening, as I said, on the bottom into the lining so that we'll have a place to turn it. So we're going to stitch from here to here and from here to the corner. We are not going to stitch these right now. So then we're going to go down the sides. The zippers are tucked in to give you your seam allowance all the way down to the side. Do not sew the corners yet. Coming straight across, not the corner, and then straight across down here. And once I have that done, I'll come back. Opening here, the next step that we need to do is is the last page, boxing in the corners. The way that we're going to do that for all 4 corners is you pull it apart and you want to match your seams. Just like so. It's a little fiddly because it's a little bit thicker. Clip that. Make sure you get these pieces out of the way so that you have a bit to sew. You see that? So it's a nice flat seam, and your seams right here are lined up. You really want your things to line up nice. So we're going to do that, and then it says to stitch it at 1/4 inch and then stitch it again 1/8 of an inch on the right of that first stitching line to make sure that it's reinforced. So let me pin all of the corners, and then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine. You can offset them too so that the bulk goes in either direction. That's something that they do a lot in quilting. They line up the seam, but the seam allowances go in the opposite direction. You don't really need a lot of pins. You'll find once you sew a lot that the pins may actually get in the way. Okay, I have boxed all of the corners, and I went ahead and did the 2 lines of stitching, and then I serged it. Obviously you don't have to do that, but I like the inside to look as good as the outside. So let's just trim off the thread. Okay, there, I did that. Now I still have my opening in the bottom. And the next step says to turn the bag. So turn the bag right side out. Okay, we are right side out. Now I need to go and close the opening that we used to turn it. So zips. Zips shut. Aww. What do you think? It zips shut. Now we have to finish the top, so let's see what our next step is. Top stitch around the opening of the bag along the zipper using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. I was able to use a walking foot for this, but if you need to stitch very close to the zipper, it may be necessary to use a zipper foot. So all the way around the opening, pulling the zipper tails away as you come to them. Make sure you go slow and check to make sure the lining is pulled away from the zipper inside to prevent puckers. Hint, a sewing machine with a free arm is very helpful in this step. It can be done without, but it will be much easier if you use the free arm. We are down to the last step. I top stitched, and I don't know if you can see there, all the way around. You'll see it better on the inside. Let's do it like that. You see that? The 2 rows of stitching all the way around. Right here, right. Pop. We popped one. Popped another one. Good. So in it goes, and around it goes. This is cool. And let's pop it in. So no, you did only have to open up one side. So now I'm going to have to stitch both sides shut. I take my little seam ripper and kind of lift the fabric over. I had this threaded from before. Slip stitch this shut. There you have it, guys. It is finished. Let's zip it. Too cute. There it is. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the box. I'm going to be making these. This was fun. I know this took me a long time, but this is super simple to make, and I think I'm going to make several. So, yes, leave me a comment below, and I will see you in my next video. Let me know if there's anything that you would like me to make that you want to see how it's made, and I would be happy to do that. Okay.